Hello, I'm Rupert Turton, and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview where we talk to local business owners about their journey. Today, I'm joined by Cees Bennett, who's the owner and founder of Belvoir Vets in Grantham. They opened in October 2021 and have already grown from a staff of 4 to a staff of 14. And on top of that, they won the Best New Startup at the 2022 Grantham Journal Business Awards. So, Cees, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, look, first thing to do, just tell us about the vets and what's special about you guys.
I think we do the basics very well. We
Mm-hmm.
like to make people welcome, their animals welcome. We have a high standard of clinical care. And we do it all in an environment that tries to de-stress the entire process and make it much more of a collaborative sit-down chat between us and the owners, rather than it being the old-fashioned professional telling you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Add to that the fact that we are independent in a sector which is having a major rebellion against the corporatization of our market.
Yeah.
So we've hit the right time, the right place with the right offering.
Excellent. And it was, when you were growing up, was being a vet what you'd always wanted to do?
Yeah, really. I started seeing work experience from the age of 11.
Yep.
I grew up in rural South Wales on a small holding.
Yep.
So pretty much grew up with chickens, sheep, horses, you name it, from that age. And then a little bit further on down the line, someone told me it was the hardest thing to get into at university. And that was the final red rag to a bull to go, this is what you need to do.
Yeah. So would you consider yourself now, having looked at your history, and you've obviously now setting up Belvoir Vets, but you've set up other veterinary chains before. Do you consider yourself now a vet primarily or a business manager primarily?
Um, right now, I would say 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through phases of being a pure clinician. Just before starting up Belvoir Vets, I was purely in the management role for one of the big corporates. So kind of throughout my career, I've oscillated backwards and forwards, but there's no doubt that I think I would get probably bored and slightly less interested in the whole industry if I didn't have a management and business involvement.
Yeah. So, well, do I put you on the spot? Which is your first love, the business management or the vetting?
Oh. Would it be really mean if I said I really enjoy the vetting as long as the people are nice?
Yeah,
As anyone who deals with clients knows, if you've got a lovely run of really good clients,
yeah,
your day flies by and it feels absolutely fantastic and you're on top of the world.
yeah.
But if you get the opposite end of the spectrum, then I'd rather retreat to the office and look at numbers.
Hide in your corner. So, what are the biggest challenges running a vets in today's climate?
Ooh, probably the biggest challenge of all is recruitment.
Mm,
Our industry is in a bit of or has been in a recruitment crisis for a good 5 years. Most vet practices are running adverts constantly for new vets and nurses. There's just not enough out there.
yeah,
And many people are leaving the profession. So even expansion plans have to be put on hold just by a lack of available staff. And if you put out a job ad and you get one reply, you kind of almost have to employ that person, even if they might not be right for the business. So that by far is our big challenge.
And that also implies that you must have a challenge with keeping good staff once you've got them as well, because there's always going to be somebody looking to poach them.
Yeah, well, as an industry, that's a massive challenge. I mean, touch wood behind me here, but I'd be disappointed if we lost someone to a local rival.
Yeah.
Um, well, in fact, for any reason, I'd be disappointed.
Yeah. So what's your biggest learning since you've been a business owner?
I get probably because of our consciousness that recruitment is such a challenge and retention such a challenge. For me, it's all been about look after the people, and they will become your biggest advocates for your business, and almost
Mm.
everything else cascades from there. It's not really about client comes first or look after the client and everything else comes. It's look after the staff and
Yeah.
they look after everything else.
Oh, very Richard Branson.
Yeah, totally. It does help in our industry. We have at the moment, well, has been for 10 years, more demand out there than really can be serviced.
Yeah.
So that's a luxury position compared to many other industries.
Yes, I suppose so. Yeah. And then what have you learned about yourself during the journey?
Mm. That I like numbers,
Oh,
and
really?
I'm quite good at them in terms of my ability to sense the performance of a business based on metrics and numbers. Yeah, I'm pretty accurate on those. That I'm a lead by example type of person, but I'm not very good at the nitty gritty. So I've always had
Mm.
to make sure that my business partner, or in this case, my practice manager, is very good at all of those green personality trait holding things together, complementary bits to me. Otherwise, it would fall apart.
Yeah, so it's having the right mix of staff to complement each other.
Yeah, and I'm lucky that my business partner, who was actually a housemate at university 25
Oh,
years ago,
oh, right. Yep.
um, we may have some very similar personality traits, but we also have some quite opposite ones that actually complement each other very well. So we allow each other to get on with what we're good at without looking over each other's shoulders,
Yeah.
and that takes a lot of stress away.
But I guess that's also got to scale down to the rest of the practice as well, hasn't it? How do you keep control of what's happening inside the practice to make sure it's maintained at the level of service that you would like for your clients?
Uh, a large degree is set by example.
Mm,
Both my business partner Gemma and I are at the moment the major turnover generators for the business.
yeah,
But also, there's a lot of trust. If you employ the right people who have a passion to make the business work well, I don't need to look over their shoulder. I can give them the job and their area of responsibility. Maybe check in on those areas every few months to make sure
mm,
it's up to scratch. But otherwise, no, let them do it. Trust
yeah,
them,
yeah,
and they'll knock it out the park.
yeah. Brilliant. So, what are your aspirations for the company in the next 5 years?
Do you know what the pharmaceutical companies ask us this pretty much every month because
Oh,
they'd
do
like us
they?
they'd like us to sell more of their stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Um, Bizarrely, we've had a lot of conversations over the last few years about what is enough. What
Yep.
is enough for a person, both in terms of hours worked,
Hmm.
income generated,
Yep.
and how big your empire is going to be. And
Yeah.
we're going to actually sealing out on our building probably in about a year's time, which is 8 years quicker than we thought it would be.
Well, yep.
That'll probably be about 25 staff members.
Yep.
It'll be 2 million a year of turnover.
Yep.
It's more than we could have hoped for.
Yep.
But I think if we had an unlimited building size, we could probably double that again.
Yeah.
But do we want the headache of that? Do we need to do more? Do we need to open up another site and have that headache? And I think our answer is no. We're happy to be where we will be at that size and then live life.
Yeah. Yeah. There's other things, without a doubt. So, what
It's
would
just
you?
there's a burning bit of everyone though that makes you go, ooh, maybe something else.
Yeah. Yes. No. Absolutely. Well, and also presumably it doesn't have to be another vets, does it?
No, no, not at that point.
Yeah. So, what would you say to thinking? Try that in English. What would you say to anyone thinking of going into business?
Well, I was about to say do it,
Yeah.
but then I have chats with people who want to open up vet practices 2 or 3 times a week.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of have, I wouldn't say mentor, but at least had some very long, detailed discussions about how to do it with a good 40 individuals now.
Yeah.
And of those, I would say a third to a half, my answer was said, don't do it because you haven't got a clue what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you know your stuff and you are clear about the challenges, the opportunities, you know what you're offering,
Yeah.
then go ahead and do it because there is nothing better than it being your own train set and having that success.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, there are many people who are unclear about the basics of business
Mm.
and where they fit in that. And I think if people don't go and do their research first, they can go into it and get burnt very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. So I suppose it's not quite as easy as it looks from the outside world.
It's not, but then I know my industry inside out and a few others reasonably well. I would always say there is plenty of advice out there and people who are willing to give you the benefit of their own journeys and knowledge. And I think it would be silly of someone not to tap into that sort of knowledge base of people. And it's not taking people for granted. It's just seeking goodwill. And most people who have made it and are successful would really, really do quite enjoy sharing that journey and experience and helping the next wave.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, there's absolutely no danger. What's the worst that can happen if you ask somebody just to give you some advice? The worst they're going to do is say no to you, isn't it? And the chances are, as you say, they'll be more than happy to help you avoid the pitfalls that they fell into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all make mistakes all the time, so it's quite
Oh,
good to listen to a few people.
yeah, yes, no, absolutely. Let's face it, whatever you know, you're still going to make mistakes. It's inevitable in many ways. So, who's the first person that comes to mind when you think about success?
Um, it's very easy to think of people who are successful based on a singular talent, and
Yeah,
I don't like that quite so much because you're born with that talent, and all right, they've developed it to an extreme. The one that springs to mind for me, maybe a bit of a cliche, is Bill Gates,
yeah.
purely because of being maybe not the most, well, definitely not the most talented programmer, etc., but just having the awareness to take himself out of that role, to drive business forward, to test the boundaries of what's acceptable in terms of competition and closing that out, and to evolve a business offering which has morphed hugely over decades
Mm,
and continue to drive that forward as things change. For me, is brilliant. And then I love the fact that they having that pivot to going, actually, I'm now going to go and do something entirely different, philanthropy,
yeah.
and also be hugely successful with that in terms of I've had dealings with the charitable foundation and their ability to stay anonymous behind the vast majority of what they do so that they don't taint the work they do by their name.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
And for me, that's the ultimate definition of giving, where
Yeah.
it's not public.
Yeah, cool. Cees, it's been great talking to you. If anyone locally in Grantham wants to come to you at Beaver, what do they need to do? Where do they need to go?
To be honest, send an email to me. I'm more than happy to share my email address, which is case@beavervets.co.uk. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way. I check my emails very regularly, and I'll quite happily respond.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be in the veterinary side of things. Yeah, anything around business creation, sourcing finance, you name it. I'm quite happy chatting.
cool. Excellent. Okay, so Bennett, owner and founder of Beaver Vets in Grantham, thank you for your time today. It's been great.
No problem at all. Thank you.